Welcome back to my channel, guys. Here we are with another sit down. So this sit down is basically just going to be going over pricing and stuff that I paid for, reviews, all that good stuff for my St Lucia trip. If you haven't watched it yet, I've already posted my vlogs 1 and 2 for St Lucia. I will go ahead and put the links in the bio so that you can go ahead and watch those videos and see my trip that I did, all the good stuff that I did. So first things first, the flight. So as I mentioned in my first Q&A vlog, I booked my flight to St Lucia way back in March, way back in March. So I paid $8.92 round trip from Toronto YYZ to UVF St Lucia. So the flight was originally with American Airlines. I had a bunch of trouble with American Airlines. It kept changing my flight. I had 2 flight changes, and then less than 24 hours before my flight, American Airlines changed my flight again, which made me miss my connecting flight to get to St Lucia in time. So long story short, I ended up having to buy another flight from YYZ to UVF, direct flight from Air Canada. So although my original round trip cost me $8.92, I had to pay an extra $722 for another flight one way to go from YYZ to UVF in St Lucia, because it was literally, let's say, 12 hours before I was actually supposed to leave the day of. So obviously it's going to be more expensive. So in total, I would say I ended up getting a partial refund from American Airlines for all the confusion. So in total for my flights, I paid $1,000 for my total flight. So originally it was $8.92, it went up by about $108, so it's not that bad. So for flight total to and from St Lucia, I paid $1,000. Okay, so on to the next one. So the next one would be my accommodation. So a lot of people, most question is, why did I stay in what I stayed in for the Airbnb? So I stayed in a converted shipping container. So I've always seen like these converted like houses, trailers, all these random really nice cool places on the Facebook groups that I'm in. So I'm always like, oh my gosh, I want to stay in one of these, but like people converted them to live in. I personally would never live in one. So I'm just like, how can I get to experience something different and get a different kind of vibe, something like that? So originally, let me back up. Originally this was a solo trip. So I booked this solo in March, and I didn't get someone to come with me until they didn't book the flight till beginning of December. So this was originally technically planned as a solo trip. So cost wise, I wasn't gonna look for some big expensive Airbnb. It was just me for 7 days. It didn't make any sense. So I obviously looked for the most cost efficient way. It was this. Well, it technically wasn't this, but this was the coolest thing that I found to stay in for cheap. So the Airbnb that I stayed in, commercial shipping container, the shower was the best shower out of every place I stayed in. It was outside, but it was the best shower. The pressure was amazing. The heat was amazing. That was the best shower out of all my stays in St Lucia. It was a really cool, nice place. And for that total, I paid about $3.92. Around that much that I paid for. Technically I booked it for 6 nights. I first booked it for 6 nights. We ended up having to cut the Airbnb short because I went with my sister and we would just wake up to bites and we weren't comfortable there anymore. So we cut that Airbnb trip short by 2 nights. So we had to get another hotel last minute. I think I booked the hotel the morning of or the night before we had to go. But the good thing, what I liked about this Airbnb is that it was right in Rodney Bay, Gros Islet. Like it was close to like everything. So it was really good to get access to. So like taxi rides were cheaper. But what I didn't like is that they couldn't find us. So there's no actual literal addresses. I don't know if it's just that one spot or if it's just St Lucia in general, but there's no little addresses. So it was hard to tell. I ended up, the first night we walked I walked around Rodney Bay and ended up getting taxi guy's number, so it's easier to just call for a taxi to be like, hey, can you pick me up from here? But the issue is that they could not find it. So like it was hard trying to tell them where to go because I'm not familiar with the area. They, I guess, were not familiar with the area. So I would tell them like the intersection, they wouldn't know where to go. So I kind of stuck to just 2 drivers the entire trip, because just to tell them where it was just very tedious and it was just super annoying. So I just wanted to avoid that. But I loved the location of this place, the Airbnb. I loved the location. It was perfect. It was a 15-minute walk to like the main street from the Airbnb. I mentioned we had to leave the Airbnb early. We ended up last minute getting another hotel. So the hotel that we stayed at was Bel Jou Hotel. So I don't even know how we ended up picking this place, but we kind of wanted somewhere that was all inclusive and nice. So we wanted, literally we just went by the pictures. So we ended up getting Bel Jou. Bel Jou is in Castries, but the hotel was really nice. I'll give them that. The food was excellent. I had no complaints. The food was good. The hotel was really nice. The staff were so nice. The staff were so friendly. I love the staff there at the Bel Jou Hotel. But my issue was that it was in Castries and it was far from where most of the partying and stuff that we did was in Rodney Bay, Gros Islet. I didn't do the math, or like I didn't think about it ahead of time before I booked it. So taxi rides were more expensive because we basically left Rodney Bay, Gros Islet area to go to Castries just to keep getting taxi rides back to Rodney Bay, Gros Islet area. So it kind of didn't make sense. Kind of didn't think about it before, but whatever. But besides that, besides the location, I mean, if you want to do stuff in Castries, I guess it's a good place. But it was a really nice hotel. It was all inclusive. That was just the main thing that we're looking for. For the Bel Jou, it was last minute. We paid $1,652 for 2 nights. For me and my sister. Yeah. So the last place that we stayed at was the Ladera Hotel. So really, to be honest, I just wanted somewhere to stay that I would have like my own outdoor pool with like the 3 sides. Like I wanted an open concept that Jade Mountain and Ladera have. So I ended up doing Ladera. So I only did it for 1 night. And for the 1 night, it was $1,059 for the 1 night. We got the, I think it's called the Superior Suite. It's the one below the Gross Piton Suite. The views, as I mentioned in my vlog, were literally to die for. Like I could have just sat there and just stared. The open concept didn't bug me as much as I thought it would, but we weren't thinking. We didn't close our suitcase before we went to dinner. So when we came back, there was like a 1-2 bug in our suitcase. So obviously take that into account if you're staying somewhere that's open concept. Close your suitcase. But the bugs weren't that much. There were toads, like I guess frogs there, like floating, like I guess hopping or jumping around, whatever. But it wasn't that much of a big deal. There weren't that many critters besides like that random bug that I showed. But besides that, I loved it. One thing I didn't know is that, so the official currency in St Lucia is Eastern Caribbean dollars. So I specifically brought Eastern Caribbean dollars, but almost everything is done in USD. So a lot of, basically almost everything had to be converted. So taxi rides now. So from the UVF airport, Heronera, something, I don't remember what it's called, but the UVF airport in St Lucia, from there to we're staying in Gros Islet / Rodney Bay, we paid 80 US, which is about 100 Canadian. So the taxi rides for the trip were between, depending on where we were, between 20 to 60 EC. But once we went, that's when we were in Rodney Bay, but once we went to Castries to get back to Rodney Bay, Gros Islet for like the street party and stuff, we paid about 80 EC. It's about $38 Canadian. So that's how much and that was one way. So that's how much we're basically paying to get around. So now on to the tours that we did. So the first tour that I did, it was a local tour. So that tour, it was a half day. It was supposed to be a half day. We paid about 450 EC, which converts to about 220 Canadian for both me and my sister. So we paid about 450 EC. So that tour, which I loved about it, it was very informative. So like I feel like we got to learn about like the low-key places that like the big touristy tours don't bring you on, which I really enjoy, because I feel like I got to learn like more of the culture of St Lucia and all that good stuff. So that's what I really liked about that tour. And for the second tour that I did, the Wet and Wild tour, I specifically, a lot of the tours that I found on Viator all kind of touch on the same spot, but I wanted to do something different, so I really wanted to do the buggying. So that's why I chose this. So for the 2 of us, we paid $762 Canadian. So that tour was all day. We had to be there for 8:30 in the morning. I don't think we got back from the actual catamaran till 7 p.m. Didn't get back to the Airbnb till about 8 o'clock. So it was a very, very long day, but it was very fun filled. We did a lot on that tour. Food was, I didn't really eat any local cuisine except for that one time that I posted on the second tour that I did, where it was like beans, rice, chicken, pasta salad, and I think macaroni and cheese. It tastes like macaroni and cheese, but that was really, I would say, only the local food that I had, and that was good. I loved it. But besides that, I didn't really eat any local food. We had KFC, as I mentioned. I think St Lucia KFC was better than Jamaica KFC, but that's for another day. We had KFC, we had Domino's. I wouldn't recommend the Domino's. I was not a fan at all of the pizza. I didn't even finish the pizza. It wasn't it for me. Food at the Bel Jou hotel, it was all inclusive. So the food that we ate at the restaurant, it was amazing. If you could have gotten like seconds, I definitely would have. So the food at the Ladera resort, so the hotel is not all inclusive. So they have one restaurant there. It's called the Dasheen restaurant. So we only went there for dinner. The first night we went there for dinner, and so we had steak for an appetizer. We had chicken tempura. For dessert we had, I think it was a cheesecake, and our bill came up to about $216 Canadian. Their pricing was in US dollars, so converted it was $216 Canadian, which is pretty steep. And the next morning we didn't have breakfast. We didn't wake up in time, but the next day that we had lunch. So I had a burger, she had pasta. We had one appetizer, which was chicken skewers, chicken saute with peanut butter dip. That's what we had. And our bill came up to, I think, $88 Canadian. On to the last part, partying, clubs. So for New Year's Eve, we went to Verve. We went to Verve mainly because it was free. There is no cover charge to get into Verve, so that's why we went there. There was another called Ultra Lounge, which we were going to go to, but there was a cover charge. I think it was 60 EC or 80 EC, 60 to 80 EC, one of the two. But the music that they played for me and my sister wasn't worth switching to go pay, because we were getting really good music at Verve. So that's why we ended up staying there. What I liked about Verve was, one, the fact that it was no cover, and two, the drinks were super cheap. So we paid, I had 2 rum and cokes. It was $4 Canadian. We got a bottle of Coke and a rum and coke. It was $4 Canadian. We got 2 shots, I think it was, of tequila. I think it was $5 Canadian. So like the drinks were super cheap, so I definitely loved that there. And then for the Gros Islet street party, that's a vibe. That is definitely a vibe. So everyone is just so happy, so friendly. Like there's a bunch of food being sold. There's literally drinks everywhere. Like, drinks are just cheap in St Lucia, so that's what I love. But the drinks are cheap as well. There's drinks everywhere. The music that they're playing is good. Like, it's just a vibe. So for the beaches, so I think I only went to 2 beaches. We went to Rodney Bay Beach and we went to the beach at Pigeon Island. So I actually like both. I didn't really have a preference. I heard that a lot of people, I heard, prefer Rodney Bay over Pigeon Beach because it's nicer, but to me they were both the same. So that wraps up this vlog, just detailing basically the pricing that I paid, giving my reviews of everything that I did in St Lucia during my trip. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions about St Lucia, feel free to shoot me a DM or a comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them.